Good morning, Andrew. Yeah, data from two HR software companies followed closely by Wall Street, by the way. They track the jobs market. It shows that ending the $300 extended unemployment benefit has had no measurable effect on job growth. In fact, the states that kept the benefit showed better job growth in July. Both UKG and Homebase Wall Street forecasters increasingly turn to them for real-time data on the jobs market. They showed that job growth in the 26 states that ended the benefits trailed those states that kept the benefit in July. Homebase reported a strong 2.5% increase in hours worked and a 2.3% gain in employees for July for those states that kept the benefit. States that eliminated it, well, they saw declines in both categories. Over at UKG, Dave Gilbertson writes, states continuing the additional benefit grew workforce activity in July 2 times faster than states that stopped the benefit. Now, hold on, because there's an explanation here. One explanation, states that kept the benefit already had stronger job growth. Blue states generally had more job loss last year, and so they've seen stronger job growth this year with the ending of lockdown. Still, they maintain that edge and put more people to work, even while keeping the benefit in place. Now, the positive impact of ending the benefit, it could have shown up in other ways. Here's what McDonald's CEO Chris Kempinski said in the company's earnings call.
We're seeing applications have increased pretty significantly. Applications in states that have ended early the federal stimulus, those have tended to do even better. So I do think that there's evidence that as the federal stimulus rolls off, that you'll see an improvement in the application rate.
But when it comes to actual jobs, there are several academic studies from the previous recessions showing little or just marginal impact from ending or keeping those extended benefits. The current data back up the idea. The decision to take a job amid a pandemic that just won't quit, well, it's more complicated than whether or not one's receiving a $300 check. Andrew?
Steve, this has been, as you know, a rallying cry on the right for a while now. So does the data in your mind disprove that claim?
I think there's a ways to go to actually disprove it, Andrew. We'll get the state-level BLS data in a week or so. We'll want to see the data from August to see if that continues. You have this other aspect that they already have the strong job growth in these states that ended the benefit. So here's what I think the lesson is. I think the lesson is one of humility. Wealthier people, Andrew, be they journalists, politicians, or economists, shouldn't presume to know what motivates poor or lower income people to take a job or not. It's a very complicated situation with healthcare concerns, with school and childcare concerns, and there's the check that I think plays a role in it. And when it comes to the labor shortage, we know we have fewer immigrants coming in, especially for summer work. That was a big issue. Geographic dislocation, all sorts of things going on. Economists think of labor as commodity, but look, people ain't soybeans, is all I can tell you. There's a lot that goes on in their people's brains, and checks make a difference, but they're not the whole story.
Steve, it's Scott. I also feel like, to some respect, that this is a structural issue and that you can't compare coming out of this recession, if you want to, whatever you want to call it that, to other periods where there was stimulus put into the system. I mean, we had a survey yesterday, a gentleman on this program who suggested the results showed only 26% or so of people want to go back to work full time. I mean, people are rethinking where and how they want to go to work, regardless of whether they got a check in the mail from the government or not. And that may have longer lasting and more structural effects than perhaps we're realizing.
Yeah, we had Robert Kaplan on yesterday, Scott, on the Exchange. He said the Dallas Fed sees some 3 million people took this opportunity opportunity, maybe that's the wrong word, but the incidence of the pandemic to retire. So those folks have dropped out of the workforce. Not everybody wants to go back full time. I think a lot of people realize that commuting 50 miles to work is not the optimal use of their time or of their lifestyle. So there's a lot of changes going on in the workforce, and all of that has contributed to the labor shortage. Plus the idea, Scott, how many people moved out to suburban areas? What's going on with home prices there? We know there's an influx of a population to those areas, right? So wealthier people, middle to upper to high income people, they could do that. The folks who are supposed to be working at those things, lower income people, they don't either have the ability to move, or even the housing in those places where the wealthier people have moved, so the geographic dislocation as well.